Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Monday Morning. It's Stephen Whiteside here from theuptrend.com. In the pre-market this morning, stock index futures and commodities are currently trading above fair value, so it does look like the market wants to do a little buying on Monday morning. Starting off looking at the VIX, the VIX for the S&P 500 is still on a sell signal. That's supportive for higher stock prices on a short-term basis. Looking for a close on Monday above 1883 to change that. The VIX for the NASDAQ and for the Russell 2000 are both on sell signals. Again, that is supportive for higher stock prices on a short-term basis. Next up, let's take a look at the major index ETFs, and I'm going to spend a little more time on the U.S. sectors this morning because a lot of the sector ETFs ran up and hit our next price targets and then started to pull back. Now, the SPY made a new high on Thursday, hitting our next target of 570.31, so congratulations, you got to lock in some profits. You got to lock in profits on the equal-weighted S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. So congratulations across the board. Unfortunately, unless you put your order in a little below the 125 level, the Russell 2000 ETF did not hit the 125 level, got as high as 124.94. Now, I always tell you to put your orders in a little below the price target, and you can see that that would have helped in that situation. Looking at the retail sector, we put in a high on Wednesday and started to pull back, hit our next price target. Now, unfortunately, that is technically a lower high. So you can see a high from late July, then a lower high in August, and now a lower high in September. And of course, that high can be taken out at any time, but right now it doesn't look very bullish. Then looking at the home builders, we got as high as 125.20. So congratulations, you got to lock in some profits. We had the real estate ETF make a high earlier in the week and then started to pull back for the rest of the week up there at the 45.31 level. So congratulations, you got to lock in profits. Now for the financials ETF, we're dancing on support here and trying to break out above the August highs, which should take us up to 46.09. So far, we have not been able to do that. For the banking sector, we have been able to hit our next price target and then pulled back. For the regional banks, we were not able to hit our price target before we pulled back. You can see we did hit our price target for the broker-dealers, and we're still holding up at that level. For the biotech sector, we hit our target and have pulled back. For the pharmaceuticals, we hit our target, and we're still stuck to it at the moment. And then looking at the industrials, we missed the target by 1 penny on Thursday, so that's unfortunate. Hopefully you had an order in a little below that. Looking at the metals and mining ETF, we're trying to break out above the August highs. That would take us up to 60.94. So far, we have not been able to do that. Then looking at the technology ETF, we got as high as 225.01 on Thursday before pulling back. So if you had an order in up there, congratulations, it got filled. Looking at the XSD for the semiconductor sector, you can see we hit our target on Thursday, basically closed at that level and then pulled back on Friday. And then looking at the communication services, you can see we hit our target, no problem. So congratulations, you got to lock in some profits. Now, looking at the Canadian market, we had no major trend changes on Friday, and we're looking at the Vanguard Canada ETF. We had a small pullback on Friday. The iShares for the TSX 60 actually closed up a penny on the day. Mid-caps were down slightly on the day. No change in trend there. No change in trend for the small caps, coming off a new high on Thursday. Then looking at the venture exchange, and this is interesting, we're starting to break out above the August highs. We put in a higher low in September, so that's the start of a bullish chart pattern, and we were up 1/3% on Friday. Looking at the equal-weighted bank ETF, we made a new high on Friday. We still have energy stocks on a buy signal as of Thursday's close. Pullback on Friday, no major change there. Then looking at gold stocks, still on a buy signal, still trading above the upper channel line, no change there. A lot of the bond ETFs look like this, preferred share ETFs look like this, and dividend ETFs look something like this at the moment. Looking at Infotech, we had an inside day on Friday after making a new high on Thursday. And then last up, the utilities. The utilities pulled back into the channel on Friday before closing higher on the day. Now moving on to commodities and starting off with crude oil. Crude oil still on a buy signal here, no change. Natural gas has been on a buy signal for a couple of weeks and starting to break out above the August highs. That could be bullish. Then looking at the price of copper, we had a small pullback on Friday, no change there. A new high for gold on Friday, and gold traded up to the top of not only our daily, but our weekly and our next monthly price target. And so you can see on the monthly chart that 28.1250 would be our next target to the upside for the price of gold. Looking at platinum, we had a small pullback on Friday, still on a buy signal here, no change. Silver made a new high for this move. It's trying to break away from 31.25. If it can do that, 32.81 would be our next target. And if you look up to the left-hand corner of the screen, you can see we hit that target back in the summer. Last up, looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum, we're still on a buy signal here for Bitcoin, and we've got Ethereum on its second day of a buy signal, moving up on Friday. Okay, folks, that is all for this morning's presentation. As you can see, we did hit a lot of areas of resistance last week in the U.S. market and pulled back. It's not like we hit them and broke through. We hit them and pulled back. So it'll be interesting to see if the market wants to go back and retest those and even break out to higher highs. Only time will tell. We're not getting a lot of indication of anything really from the pre-market on Monday morning. We'll just have to wait and see. So far, it looks like they want to do a little buying at the open. Enjoy the rest of your day. Next time you'll hear my voice is on Tuesday morning.